Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years and shares her insights on the local housing market. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. And welcome on into Missoula Real Estate Today, first weekend of summer 2019. The weather may not be too positive about that, but calendar speaking, that's what it is. And we're glad you joined us today for Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck, who has brought in special guest Diane Beck. Welcome back.
Well, hello.
Hello.
It's so funny how I can bring myself to the show.
You can book yourself anytime.
I love it.
Yeah,
I made a commitment. You've given me a bad time this year. I've had clients and listeners giving me a bad time that, when are you going to be on your show, Diane? And I'm like, okay, I better get on there. So I'm committed to once a month, if not every 6 weeks at a minimum. So.
Well, if it's any help, you have provided us with some wonderful guests.
Well, that helps a ton.
I've had a great time. I've learned a lot. Just had some really fun people in here.
Good. Well, everybody's sure enjoyed visiting with you.
Good.
And I can tell you that every single guest that is on this show, I mean, everybody, it's housing related. It's not selling. Nobody's selling anything.
Correct.
It's just an informational way to get a grip on what's going on in the market, how you can improve your home, get some new landscaping, get what was the last gal, the organizer?
Well, we had IPAC in a couple weeks ago, and then she was talking about, I can help you pack all those boxes because let's face it, moving is packing.
Correct.
And, she
I
came
think
in
it's
and
a
did
great
wonderful
concept.
job.
She came and talked to us at our office meeting. And so, it's just great to have these people and have all these resources and have some fun conversations. And again, the whole show is based on information. I want the home buying and selling public out there to know what their options are and to be able to have resources when they go to buy or sell.
Terrific. Well, it's still nice to have the presenter of Missoula Real Estate Today, Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Good timing, too, because you can kind of give us, a half-year review. We're at about the halfway point of the year, so you can do a report card on 2019 about what you expected so far.
Yeah, so far it's been a little quiet. I really, we talked a little bit before. We had a pretty quiet first quarter. Mm-hmm. Second quarter has definitely picked up, but not been full steam. And I think part of it is we're still dealing with a major shortage of inventory of homes for sale. So that has really kind of put a little bit of a cloud on our market. The great news is we have super low interest rates. I think, was Miles in here within the last couple weeks?
Miles Link from Opportunity Bank was in last week, correct?
Talking about the great interest rates and expected to stay and remain low for the remainder of the year, I think, is the projection. And so I look at what's going on out there, and we see a few people moving around, but I know there's a bunch of people that are thinking about wanting to sell their house. We're experiencing a lot of families wanting to downsize. Just with the increasing taxes, increasing home maintenance that we all have, it's time to simplify. So I'm hearing that a lot. I want to simplify. I want to take my 4-bedroom, 3-bath house on an acre and go down to a townhouse or condo or something with a very small, manageable yard. So we're hearing that a lot.
So still, obviously, buyers are motivated. Just seems like there's a little bit of a void in sellers motivated, which I got to say surprises me a little bit in this market right now, Diane. And not saying it is easy to sell a house in Missoula, because realtors would go, what? It's not easy. It's never easy, but because there's so much at stake and always a lot to do to make a transaction a success. But still, you kind of wonder, well, why isn't there more of that seller's motivation right now?
Yeah, and I think that it's just timing. I mean, I think it's for some people it's a lot to prepare their home and box up, 10 to 20 years worth of stuff, and start thinking about it. So
Sure.
somebody like an IPAC gal, somebody to kind of help take it some of the bite out of it to help, is a really good resource. But I guess I feel like there are so many. I have a lot of people. It's really interesting. And I just had this meeting with some folks this last week. And I've had a bunch of these meetings in the last couple months that we're thinking about downsizing, but we're not going to do it for the next 1 to 2 years. And these are people in their retirement age, whatever that might be, over 60, whatever age people are retiring at. And they're thinking about it, but they're doing it more methodically. So I think there's a lot of people out there like that. And here's what my answer to that is. I love those people that are thinking that far ahead. Because that helps us all be prepared when the time comes. Say if I had 5 of those people in the last few months, only about 1 or maybe 2 of them have said, let's just do it now. Let's bite the bullet and do it now, where other people are still, 1 to 2 years out. So, I just love the people who plan ahead. I don't like waiting till the last minute either. So, for those people that are having the conversation, let's talk now.
Do you suppose there's a little bit of a rebound effect? And the example that I would use is you might want to sell your home for a number of reasons, but you use the example of downsizing. Yet, you still want to stay in Missoula. So if I sell my larger home because I want to downsize, what am I going to find?
Right. So that's where we start, actually. And this is the conversation I have with people is before we really talk about selling your house, why don't we go out and look and see what's available and what, based on what their lifestyle is, based on where they might want to live, based on their budget, we could actually go out and look at what's available based on their parameters at any given time, with the understanding that they know that the inventory is relatively low. So there's not a whole lot of choices. They need to know that, right? That's why I think it's good to get them out on the ground ahead of time. And so we can start looking at what's available. There's also a lot of people who are saying, we're pushing 70. We're ready to go move down to wherever our kids live and live closer to them. So, there are those folks too. We get a lot of variety in scenarios, and that's the best part of my job is to help people figure out the best plan.
This is Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and Diane is a guest on her own show today. I like that. Well, that kind of leads us into marketing, Diane, buying or selling, either way, and that has changed a lot over the years. What components of marketing do you recognize as requiring much more focus than they used to? Obviously, lots of advancements with social media, of course.
Right. Our team, the Diane Beck team, is a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of process. I've got 4 graduates on my team right now, right. Not including me. I'm not a college. I didn't go to college.
But you can include me.
I can include you.
I'm a grad. Great. Can I be on the Beck team?
Yes.
I'm on the Beck team.
You are considered part of the Beck
now
team.
You got 5.
Now I got 5. So I've got communications, I've got marketing, I've got business, I've got lots of different people, and I've got everybody. They're so smart. So we have processes in place, and we literally look at every listing a little bit differently, so we can customize to people however we feel is going to best market their home. And social media is definitely a big part of our marketing program. We are using Instagram, Facebook. Haven't done a lot of that Snapchat thing yet because I can't quite get used to that. But we're working with video. We are having a ton of fun because as the real estate market's changed, our marketing plans have to change. And so we really literally customize for every single seller.
I think the mindset, too, of a consumer, particularly a buyer, the seller, too, they expect that of their realtor, is that you're going to be able to see an awful lot of that house before you even get to that house. It's not just a little postage stamp photo in the newspaper or whatever. I want to see 30, 40, 50 photos. I want to see the 360 video. I think that isn't that just customer or consumer expectation anymore?
Absolutely. And that's the beauty in it how we can customize things is our sellers want to see their house everywhere.
You bet.
That they can possibly see it. And we want it to be everywhere because the more eyes on it for whatever reason, the more chance that we have to get it sold. So we're looking at all the different things. The one thing that we don't do a lot of, but if our seller wants an open house, we'll do an open house. We have found that open houses take a lot of time for not only our team, but for our sellers. And they produce very little fruit, if you will, or results. I think twice in 30 years, I've actually sold a house because of an open house or but because of an open house. And so, but if our seller says we really want to have an open house, we'll make it happen.
I don't think you were looking over my shoulder at my notes.
Oh,
but
no.
Believe it or not, that was my next question to you.
Was it really?
Well, I was going to ask you about open houses. Are they as common as they used to be or as effective as they used to be back in the day? And if not, why not? And I guess that's kind of tied to the whole social media aspect where if you do it right, Madam Realtor, I can see everything I need to see without necessarily having to go there. Unless you want to kind of just get a feel. You want to get the vibe of the place and everything like that.
Exactly. Which if you're serious, you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're serious and you've done the video and the virtual tour, you've done the drive-by and you're serious, you're going to make an appointment. You're going to go look at that house. You're not necessarily going to want to walk around there with 20 other people who are tire kicking, if you will. And so our experience with open houses has been we get a lot of neighbors who've always wanted to see that house. We get a lot of people who have they're driving around on Sunday afternoon and they saw an open house sign. Yeah. We get a lot of people who, we do get a lot of people maybe who are thinking about making a move, but they're not real qualified buyers.
Yeah.
So we say to our sellers, do you really want all these people wandering through your home if they're not a serious qualified buyer? And 9 out of 10 times the answer is no.
Yeah, measurable results. Seem pretty low on.
And back
on
to your list of questions, are they common? Very common. A lot of agents are still doing them.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of agents find them to be very productive, and a lot of agents find new buyers holding open houses. So I tell our sellers know, the chances of selling your house at an open house are slim, very slim, but the agent that's sitting might pick up buyers. Well, that's not really in the seller's best interest either.
Correct,
So
yeah.
I have not ever in my whole career been a huge proponent of open houses. But again, seller, if you want an open house, we will make it happen, and we have all the tools to do that. So.
Well, and the other thing too, I think some people are in the mindset of when you do all of this social media stuff, that's for the kids. That's for the first time home buyers, the young married couple, the 25 to 34. Not true anymore. Maybe 10 years ago it was true, and it's when social media was kind of in its infant stages. But I would think that crosses over to all demographics, which again that's another argument for your discouraging, let's say, a seller from having an open house.
Right, exactly. And, again, we present all the information. It's based on 30 years of experience and knowledge. It's not just hearsay. It's not just my personal opinion. It's a 30-year market study and what we've seen. So if you can say in 30 years, 2 houses actually sold and closed because of an open house, those that return on investment is not very good. But our sellers, again, we will customize to what their needs are. And bringing that up, back in the day, Danny, when I started, we had our multiple listing service, which was print version of a book. We had a sign in the yard. We had a home buyer magazine. Do you remember the home buyer's guide?
Yeah.
And we had the print media, like the newspaper. Or back in the day, we had the Messenger and the Independent, and back before they went away. So, we also have changed that up. We don't do a lot of print advertising because there's a small demographic of people reading the newspaper. But that demographic are also going online because 98% of our buyers are shopping online. There's hardly anybody anymore that doesn't shop online. I've got clients in their 80s. They are looking. I just emailed a link to them and they're shopping online.
Nice.
And you know what? That's awesome. And that's our culture.
Yeah. Missoula Real Estate Today with Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. You mentioned the housing market, Diane, maybe just a wee bit slow in Missoula, but I guess that's a relative term because Missoula still appears to be a pretty high demand area, right?
It really is. And have a family coming in from Utah, just took a job here, and we're looking at homes, and they feel like this is a magical place for them to raise their family. And I hear that a lot because we've got great schools, we've got relatively low crime rates, we've got a lot of recreation, we've got a lot of the good stuff. And so, yes, a lot of people are still moving here, and we are trying to accommodate their housing needs. Mm-hmm. And that's where, here's a family of 6 looking for a 4-bedroom house in a really good price range, and it's really hard to find them a decent home. And so the inventory that we need that's our need right now is inventory. But buyers are going to be moving here for a really long time because Missoula is a really cool place.
And sellers, I would assume they're going to keep asking high, willing to accept counter offers. It's pretty rare that a home priced, somewhere in the average range, which we haven't got to. I mean, I know we've talked about that in 2019, early in 2019, when Brent Wahlberg was in here, and I imagine it hasn't changed much in the last few months as far as the medium home price, but somewhere in the average range, probably it isn't going to sell for what's being originally asked a lot of the time. Right?
Some are because of the low inventory.
Okay.
Some are selling right at or maybe more than asking price.
Right, exactly.
It depends on the competitive advantage you get right out of the chute and how well you price it in the beginning. We are really experiencing a lot of multiple counteroffers. So for buyers that are out there, they are shopping and they are being competitive when they're making their offers. But it's been a really interesting dynamic. More listings would really help that situation out a lot. Because it would help balance the demand of the buyer versus the amount of housing inventory we have. And so, but yeah, if a house is priced right, it's going to sell at or above asking price. But, there's some stuff, there's a lot of sellers out there that are really proud of their property and they do believe theirs is worth more than what their neighbors sold for it, because I hear that all the time.
Of course, yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with that. And the seller ultimately determines the price. We don't. We give the seller the information to help them make that determination, but they have to decide how much they're going to end up spending. So, or how much what they're going to put it on the market for. The buyer will make the decision of how much that house sells for. Yeah. So, supply and demand's a funny thing, and the market will justify the prices as long as a buyer's willing to pay them. But I'll tell you, buyers are really smart too, and they're not going to overpay for the most part.
We were talking earlier in the show using an example about maybe there's a homeowner that wants to sell their home in Missoula because they want to downsize and go to a smaller dwelling in Missoula. So trends in newer homes being built, that term infill housing, it used to have such an yucky connotation to it as a bad term, but you see a lot more, tall, slender dwellings, primarily in the inner parts of town. Are people more receptive to those just to be able to live so close to everything?
They are. You're not going to find your retired folks getting into those because they're multi-level or they're stairs, a full flight of stairs. So the tall, skinny ones, they're definitely a market for, and they've been selling really well. I've seen a lot of interesting architecture around in the infill areas around the mall and the south side and the west side and the north side. But it's free enterprise, right? And I think that's part of what makes Missoula cool. It's pretty eclectic. So are our neighborhoods. And so, that stuff it's selling. It just depends on the price and what the amenities are. But people are definitely in today's market willing to pay more for the convenience of being close to the bus line, shopping, schools, hospitals. People are willing to pay more for that.
Jennifer and I were driving around town a lot last Sunday just to kind of kill time and have fun together on Father's Day. And there are a lot of interesting shapes, aren't
Yes,
there?
there are.
Just as far it's a taste thing, of course, but your thoughts on those. And I think mostly it is to maybe better dress up the verticality, because you're not going to necessarily see a lot of creative shapes and stuff on larger single level homes and things like that.
Yeah, when you say that, I remember when Perry Ashby built Bridgecourt Village just down the street here on Reserve, and it's a whole bunch of houses on a very little piece of land, and he got density bonuses. Remember that? But
I don't remember.
We're talking 20
what was
years
a density
ago.
bonus?
The more houses you put in that parcel, the more you can put in. Literally, you get a bonus for building small houses. And they're so cute, and they're very gingerbready, and they're adorable.
So he's a little ahead of his time.
He was a little ahead of his time, and now we've went to more kind of the more retro look, or the more retro look, but more I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Well, I think there's a little Art Deco in
Art
there.
Deco is a good. We've seen a lot of concrete floors and concrete countertops, and but I think more unique designs, and I think it's good. There is a market for everything.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. I kind of got off track about 5 or 10 minutes ago. I don't know that we finished all of your thoughts on, well, in particular, the Diane Beck marketing team. We did talk a lot about that, but also there's a lot of, instant gratification in terms of being able to see photos and videos immediately. There's also a lot of instant communication. I can get back to you in a hurry, and you've got to be on the ball and ready to take on anything and everything they might have questions or concerns about.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, we're all set up and dialed in, and our marketing program and process is very well defined, as is our communication program and plans with our sellers. And again, generationally, our sellers like to communicate in different ways. They don't want all email. They don't want all phone calls. They don't want all texts. So we definitely customize our communication plan with our sellers and buyers to go along with what they want. It's interesting these days because we have all these different dynamics, but that's part of the fun, and that's also part of the changing market. And we have to stay on top of it, and we have to listen to what our consumers want and need, and that's what we try to do, is to respond to that. And knock on wood, we've been pretty successful so far. So we're having a lot of fun adjusting and tweaking everything we do on a continual basis.
You have to educate sellers, too, as far as if they're going to put their house on the market. And I might have asked you about this the last time you were here, but I think it's kind of important if anybody out there is considering being a seller. The conditions of the houses that you list. Obviously, you want to put your best foot forward. Missoula sellers pretty good at that. By and large, the conditions of the homes that you're listing, that you're showing, pretty happy with that. You obviously can offer a lot of input, and they should respect your input, but by and large, pretty good? Pretty
good, yeah. We've had great results, and, I think, again, it's just a matter of people who, if everybody listened to what we suggested they do, we'd be batting 1,000. But we know that's not always the case. But the more you want for your home, the better it needs to look. And all the condition, the curb appeal, the condition it's in when people show it, the better it is, the more money you're going to get. And I tell people this is my exact statement. It does not have to be Better Homes and Gardens prepared. If it is, that's great, but it doesn't have to be, show ready, 98% of the time. When you show your home, people understand you still live there. You might have kids, you might have pets, you might, you're living your life. You're still living in your home, and a lot of people will understand that. But the better it looks, the better it shows, the more money you will get. That's just all there is to be said about it.
Yeah, which probably hasn't changed since the dawn of
Has
real
not
estate time,
changed.
has it?
And
No.
and that's what's really ironic is I think when people hear, well, the inventory is so low and the people's houses are selling so fast, the houses that are selling so fast in the low inventory are looking really, really good.
Yeah.
Or they're priced really, really good that would reflect maybe some of the things that need to be done.
Yeah,
So,
see, and that's why I brought that up. I guess I made you answer it the really long way, but that was essentially my question: is that are sellers getting overconfident? Not a good idea.
not a good idea, and yes, they are. I would just witnessed that with my family from Utah that was just here. We were looking at some houses that I was like, man, these people really need a good house cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're looking in the say 350 to 500 price range, man, oh man, you better have that place looking nice. If a buyer goes out and looks at 10 houses, how do you look? How are you priced, and how do you look in those 10 houses? And it's really important, and that's what we counsel our sellers: get them looking good.
And as a potential buyer, you're going to remember that.
Absolutely.
If you stack up that one, if you look at, say, 5 houses, and one of them, well, yeah, location's pretty good. Yeah, the yard looks all right. And then you go in, and it's kind of like, oh, my.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of a sudden, that one's not the front runner anymore.
Right,
If the
exactly.
other 4 happen to look really, really nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So we take that into consideration. I mean, pricing, condition, those are the 2 top things. The 3 words in real estate: location, location, location. You hear that all the time.
Sure.
Very true. But still, our buyers in this market are savvy enough. They do their homework, and they're not going to make stupid choices. Hopefully, at least not the buyers we work with. So, we want it to be win-win for our sellers and our buyers. At the end of the day, a buyer wants to buy and will pay a fair price for a house, and a seller wants to sell and needs to get a fair price for their house.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. And we only got a few minutes left here. We got to say a special thank you to some of Diane's marketing partners that helped bring you the show: Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. Final couple minutes here. Do you see any trends, patterns? I know it hasn't been too long since I asked you that the last time. Is anything going on in the Missoula housing market that maybe you were a little bit surprised to see so soon in 2019, or pretty much everything steady as she goes?
I think what I'm most surprised about is it's just been a little bit slower start this year, and we're hearing that all across the market.
Mm-hmm.
The first quarter was a little slow, picking up some steam. Second quarter, I'm thinking we're going to have a really good last half of the year. Just based on kind of the trends. I think the weather has an impact on people. We've had the weirdest weather year. I say that and people are like, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, I kind of think it does. If it's not a mindset for people, it's definitely, I notice when the sun's out, their phone rings a lot more. I think people are generally happier. So sun, please shine. We're going to have a great second half. I think Missoula, we're going to experience a wonderful summer. And hopefully the people who are listening that are thinking about selling, even if it's in the next couple of years, give us a call. Call my cell phone, 406-360-7654. And let's get the ball rolling, because that's the more prepared we are in anything we do, the better it turns out. And so the earlier I get to meet with people and have that conversation, the happier we all are.
And, of course, you gave out your cell number, but also if you want to get a hold of that Diane Beck marketing team with all the Grizz grads on it, myself included now, I'm now a team member, but don't contact me because I don't know diddly about what Diane does for a living there, but your team does. Your office location, websites, and all of that.
2800 South Reserve, just down the street from Town Square Media, across from Larchmont Golf Course. And website is really super easy. It's just DianeBeck.com. And we'll get in touch with you right away. We return all our calls within 24 hours. Emails, texts. Man, it's coming at us from every single direction. Yes. And every once in a while I'll be like, oh, crap, I forgot about that text. But you know what? For the most part, we enjoy what we do. All of the team, we love what we do. And we do a wonderful job for our people. And our goal is to make happy clients and get them moving in the direction they want to go.
Well, it's great seeing you as always.
Yeah, good to see you. We'll see you again here before too long.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. Contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@realtor.com or visit her website, homesinmissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.